All right, y'all, it's Ron Goodall from FightHype.com. Wanted to kind of do some more of these kind of vlog-like or on-the-spot um, topics while I'm out and about and kind of get you guys engaged and kind of get some of you guys' opinion. Recently, we just saw that Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford was just announced September 13th, live on Netflix in Las Vegas. And Turkey recently went on social media and gave pretty much a list of fighters of people that he just wants to contact and kind of maybe even want to showcase, because he pretty much put out saying that I don't really want to put on an undercard full of well-known names or champions, or essentially maybe more of an opportunity to give some of the younger fighters a chance to get some shine on the undercard. Some people might be, skeptical and say, well, he doesn't want to pay the no-name fighters. But regardless, at the end of the day, I think it would be a great opportunity for a lot of those guys on that list. And before I even start going down some of the names on there, I was just listening to the HBO Championships theme or Boxing After Dark, and they were just bangers, dude. They were just banger of themes. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but for the most part, hopefully maybe Netflix or some of these other networks can create something as good as those, because I don't know, man. That was just top tier. But anyways, some of the names that he put on the list, I'm not very familiar with, and I'm not going to act like I am. But he did put Christian and Billy on there, and I know he's fighting Selecki coming up. And I know there was some sort of weird Diego Pacheco fight that was supposed to be for the WBC and never worked out. Granted, Diego Pacheco is facing Trevor McCumbee, and if those two guys get past their opponent, I think that would be a great fight for that undercard, and I think that would give them a lot of attention and notoriety. In addition to that, I know they have Ryota, who's been on the Times Square undercard. Really wouldn't say I was mind blown by his performance, but maybe the opponent was tougher than what we thought. He also had Muhammad Aklal, who's fought on 4 of the Riyadh Seasons undercards. And for the most part, really wouldn't necessarily say that he stood out, but for the most part, it makes sense why he reached out to him to actually have him on the card. But he did mention Abdullah Mason, who just had a great performance out in Norfolk, and it only makes sense that maybe if he gets the World Championship fight against Sam Nooks. Bear with me, Sam, I'm not coming at you, but I think Abdullah Mason is definitely the favorable fighter, and I'm expecting him, if they would face for the vacant WBO title that no longer is held by Keyshawn Davis, would be a great showcase for Abdullah. Unless Sam Nooks happens to catch Abdullah. He's very strong, he's very powerful. We've seen him get some knockouts, but skill-wise and speed, I just think Abdullah is too much, and if he's able to actually defeat Sam Nooks to capture the WBO on that card, I think that would be huge, because a lot of people are seeing him as a potential future of the lightweight division. But for the most part, there's some cool names on there, but I wanted to throw some names in the hat, that some may be realistic, some may not. But granted, when we're thinking who could potentially benefit, who doesn't really have a big name in boxing, and maybe I can get you hit to a few fighters myself that I've been covering. But for the most part, if potential, Cormel Moulton would be a great fighter to have on this card. As a kid that's been getting a lot of attention. It will move him to another type of, slot where he can get a lot of eyes. Richard Schaefer has been part of Canelo's advisory during this situation, and he's been part of Cormel's after joining with Mayweather Promotion. So I think Cormel could be a good potential upcoming prospect that can get some attention. Scooter Davis, we recently just saw in Norfolk. He's getting a lot of attention on social media, I'm noticing. And I think that getting him on there would be pretty sick. Emiliano Vargas, can't go wrong, right? If Top Rank can work something out, the Dynasty brothers, one of them, the one that's probably getting a lot of the attention recently on Top Rank. I don't know how realistic that would be, but that would be huge to get him on there. I don't know if that's, something that can work out. Moses, the heavyweight, man. I know he's potentially going to be having a fight coming up. I don't know what Dillian White. I don't know how soon it will be. And maybe he's kind of above that kind of status. I'm not exactly sure what it's like in the UK with Moses, but if they can get Moses on that card and get an electrifying knockout, that would be sick, right? Everyone's talking about him. Rohan Polanco, been kind of big about this guy, putting some Dominican love out there. That guy's pretty talented. He's pretty exciting, so he can definitely benefit. Manny Chance recently signed with Top Rank. Shakur Stevenson has been putting me on with him. He's been showing a lot of talent in the gym, but he's only had one fight, so I don't know really too much what he's capable of. But because of the praise that I've gotten from Shakur Stevenson, I think that would be interesting, and we'll definitely get the boxing world involved. Troy Nash Jr., someone I'm also pretty high on. He's in the WBC Grand Prix. I don't know how long it will play out, but Troy Nash Jr. has been this kid who's had 15-time national championship. He beat Zaquan Moses in amateurs, who happened to beat Cormel Moulton. So, like, you know, these guys are all facing each other. They're having their kind of trilogies or their matchups already in the amateurs. So that would be pretty cool. But he's definitely won his Grand Prix match pretty easy, in my opinion, against a pretty tough guy in that tournament. Another person, which I don't know where he will fall a line in that situation, would be Bruce Shushu Carrington. I know he has a title fight against an opponent which many people are favoring him to win. So if he could maybe get a title defense if he wins that fight, I know he's a ring ambassador just like Abdullah is a ring ambassador. So those kind of make sense, but I don't know how, you know, the level of, you know, of where it makes sense of, like, is he beyond a prospect kind of attention, right? Like, I know he would be essentially getting a champion, but would that still fit in that criteria of, like, getting the attention that they can benefit from, right? Because I know he still hasn't main event. He's been kind of a support and co-main, so maybe something like that, if you guys kind of get my drift. But definitely wouldn't be like a prospect, but be like a champion that's getting attention on a big card that he can definitely benefit. Which we've seen, like Mario Barrios has benefited on the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul undercard, because now he's fighting Pacquiao, right? So not the right words that I've used saying like prospect, but getting the attention that he would probably need, because he wouldn't be like one of the biggest stars currently in boxing as a champion if he happens to win. Andre Cortez is a good name. I know he's been kind of working his way up for a world championship fight, so he could definitely benefit from it. Yoleni Hernandez, who had pretty much an insane dominating performance against Kyron Davis. I think that would be huge. I don't know how it would work out promotion-wise, but I think that, you know, based off his exciting offensive Cuban style that we're starting to see in boxing, that would be pretty sick. Emiliano Morano, wanted to throw him in, a pro boxer who's worked with David Benavidez, and you know, and Benavidez Sr., he's been in a camp with them, but he has a very exciting, action-packed style. He was Devin Haney's sparring partner for Ryan Garcia. He sparred Tim Tszyu. If you guys haven't seen it, he just recently, I think, stopped his opponent, and he's pretty exciting, in my personal opinion. So definitely wanted to get some action in there. Another pro box too, Chino Lopez. He's been making a lot of waves. I'm seeing a lot of hardcore boxing fans loving this guy, but still has not got the mainstream attention. So he can definitely benefit on something like this. Another person, Robert Merriweather III. This kid has sparred practically everyone that you know. And I know sparring is sparring, but, you know, sparring from Keyshawn, Shakur, Gervonta, Shakur, Linares. I mean, the list goes on. And I think from working from the Mayweather gym for quite some time to then eventually fighting on PBC and Top Rank and almost all the promotional, undefeated young prospects currently fighting out of Vegas, I think you guys would be entertained by him. A person who also should have been fighting or should be fighting this weekend, but is not, got pulled out, Tito Mercado, a guy that has fought similar opponents that, like, other guys like Shakur, I believe, and maybe potentially Keyshawn. I would have to look at his box right again. But he's this knockout artist that came from the amateurs who had, you know, a pretty exciting style, and I'm still confused why it took so long for someone to sign him. But he signed with Matchroom. He fights at 140. He's been doing a lot of trash talking against, you know, Shakur and Keyshawn and all those guys. But for the most part, when you watch him fight, you see skill, you see power, and pretty much what he's missing is that mainstream attention. And so I think a card like this could definitely benefit him. And one more name, I know there's plenty of names, and, you know, please don't take offense if I forgot to throw you in there. But Amari Jones, obviously, recently signed, an Olympian from America. And I know this list seems very American heavy, so bear with me. I know there's a lot international, and I'm just kind of just throwing off some of the stuff, some of the guys that I've kind of had a chance to talk to. But Amari Jones, right? Talented Olympian, signed to Matchroom, just had his debut not too long ago. And I think getting him on the card as well would definitely benefit him tremendously, seeing the fact that, you you know, on American soil, he can get some American fans on a big card like this. So just want to just do a quick little video, you know, walk and talk, or stop and, you know, talk. Probably do a lot more of these, but you guys let me know, who do you want to see on this undercard? Because it's definitely not going to be guys like Bivol and Arthur, or like Inoue or Usyk. It's not going to be one of those type of cards where they're going to try to stack it heavily with like Shakur and Boots and Tio. Turkey wants to make this an undercard full of kind of relatively unknown guys, or guys that can benefit with for the event and get a lot of attention from it. So let me know who you guys want to see on that undercard. Just wanted to throw a huge list out there. Obviously, you know, Turkey has his list of a couple of names he wants to reach out. But if I would say, bear with me, I would say my top 3 I would want to see on there. I would say I would love to see Abdullah Mason on that. I think probably Moses, the heavyweight, would be probably my second go-to. And then probably Cormel Moten. If not, it's probably a tie between Cormel, Scooter Davis, or Emiliano Vargas, only because of the fact that they're so early in their career. And for the most part, I can see any of those guys becoming a star in boxing. They just need that one card or two that can put them in front of tons and millions of people, and I can see them transcend this year into something a lot bigger than they already were. So, but regardless, everyone on that list is worthy, and I think everyone would definitely benefit tremendously. So make it a good undercard, Turkey. You know what I mean? Just put some good guys on there, not just because of the fact that you're cool with them, if they're ring ambassadors, but something that fight fans and casuals both can come together and appreciate and say, I want to see those guys a lot more, that have star making performances and something about them that can resonate with the fans. So anyways, pretty long video. I think it's about good enough. You let me know in the comments who you guys want to see. All right, y'all. Peace.